Well, greetings and salutations, Series 7 test takers. This is the Series 7 guru coming to you from my studio here in fabulous Las Vegas with another explication request. The best free supplement to your paid study materials is my YouTube channel, but if you don't have a Kaplan Q Bank, I highly recommend it as a paid supplement with my Guru 15% discount code at checkout. Guru 15, you can get it for $58.50. It is by far the superior Q Bank in the business. I'll help you with any question, just easier if it's Kaplan, because I can pull it up backstage. For that commercial, Kaplan allows me to give you a free look on Kaplan content. Here is the request, QID 1314922. One of your customers owns 100 shares of GTS common stock. The purchase was made 2 years ago at 51. So first thing we want to do is figure out what is the cost basis on this position. Cost basis is simply when you turn your money into the investment. You know, one of the ideas is that you're going to turn your money into the investment, and then later on, you're going to turn the investment back into money. And what you're hoping you have is more money in than out, right? So we should be looking for two things here: cost basis, when you turn the money into the investment, and sales proceeds is when you actually sell it. We don't know what's going on, but it looks like first thing we do here as a test taker is get my cost basis 2 years ago. It's going to be long-term, whatever it is, because it was 2 years ago. GTS has recently declared a 3-for-2 stock split. So now what we need to do is make the adjustment for that 3-for-2 stock split. So I call you and say, hey, you know that GTS stock, common stock we bought? You go, yeah, Dean, what's up? I said, well, they just did a 3-for-2 split. And you said, well, gee, that means I get some more shares. I say, yeah, so does everybody. You have more shares, as so does everybody else. You're simply going to take your calculator and you're going to take 3 divide by 2. So that's how you adjust, right? That's 1.5 in this example. It was a 2 for 1. It'd be 2, divided by 1. So that's 1.5. And now I can adjust the position. And I say, okay, listen, you had 100 shares, but now you have 150 shares. You go, woohoo, I got 50 shares more. I go, well, reminder, so does everybody else. There's been no effective change in your proportion and ownership. You have more shares, so does everybody else. That is testable to know that stock splits and stock dividends do not affect proportion ownership in the corporation. Now, your cost base is still 51. Well, I should say 5,100. It's just now you have more shares, right? Now, if you get stuck, just remember you're going to have more shares at a lower price, and sometimes that alone will lead to the right question without doing the math. Okay, at the customer's request, as soon as the new shares are in the account, you sell them. Okay, so that means we sold 50 shares for 2,000. Now, there's a couple ways. Math, there's always a couple ways to do. I think what I would have done here is got my adjusted cost base. I'd say, okay, I paid 5,100. I divide that by 150 shares and find out that's $34 per share is my adjusted cost base. The other way you could proceed is you could take the 2,000 and divide by 50 shares and find out what the sales proceeds per share is. I'm choosing to just get to 34 and then figure this out, right? So if I have a cost base of $34 per share, and I'm selling 50 shares, my cost basis in the 50 shares I'm selling is $1,700, right? 50 shares times my adjusted cost base of 34. So that 1,700 is my cost basis on those 50 shares. It is not taxable to receive a stock dividend or stock split. What you have to do is adjust your cost basis per share. So the cost basis here still is 5,100, but that didn't buy me 100 shares now. That bought me 150 shares. So my adjusted cost base per share is $34 per share. It says I sold the stock for 2,000. So that means that's my sales proceeds. And so if my cost base on the 50 shares was 1,700, I sell it for 2,000. The answer is I have a $300 gain. Now I'm going to shop my answer set as a test taker, and I'm probably going to see 2 choices for $300. I'm going to see $300 long-term gain or $300 short-term gain. And, I have a 50-50 based on that. And so now I say, okay, well, I owned it for more than 2 years. So I was at risk for more than 12 months, which is the definition to qualify for a long-term capital gain. And so now we know the answer to the question is a $300 long-term gain. Hope that was helpful. Quick review. What we did here is you get this question. Customer bought 100 shares at GTS. The purchase was 2 years ago at 51. So our cost base is 5,100. We did 2 for 3 for 2 stock split. So 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. That means now we multiply by the existing position and we have 150 shares. We had 100 shares, now we have 150 shares. We have more shares at a lower cost basis per share. The cost base is still 5,100, but now that bought me 150 shares. So my adjusted cost base per share is $34 per share. I sold 50 shares. I got to figure out, well, 50 shares, what was the original cost base? The original cost basis on the 50 shares was $34 per share. So my cost basis on that piece of the transaction is $1,700. I sold it for $2,000. So I made $300. I was at risk for more than 12 months. By the way, there's no change in the holding period based on those 50 shares. So I don't know if that what that person was struggling with or not. But this is a $300 long-term capital gain because I was at risk for more than 12 months. All right. So I hope that was helpful. And I have a couple more in the backlog here, so I'll knock this out as quick as I can. Remember, inch by inch, your Series 7 is a cinch, yard by yard. Your Series 7 is hard. Bye-bye.